All right, folks, we're going to make another version of the clock face. Maybe you don't want this, round clock face. We're going to think outside the circle and make a rectangular clock face. Oh my goodness. So let's do that. To do this, I'm going to keep some of the stuff I've already made. I mean, I don't want the clock face, so I'll turn that visibility off, and there's no need to delete it either. I can just turn it off. And so that I can work with the remaining parts. So I've got my retaining rings, which is great, and I've got my mechanism. That's all very helpful. So I'm going to create a rectangular clock face on top of the stuff that I've already got. I'll just for the moment turn off these retaining rings just for a second, and I'm going to hit create sketch, and I'm going to, again, as best practice, create a sketch and build up around the stuff we've already got. We've already got the mechanism, so on top of the mechanism, I will create my sketch. And there it is. And now I'm going to create a 2-point rectangle, and I'm going to tie it into that known geometry. It doesn't really matter where I started. I'll just sort of click and drag over top of my clock. Everything's gone blue because it's not constrained yet, but that's easily fixed. So at this point, I need to tell Fusion how big things are and where they are in relation to known geometry. We know, for example, where the origin point is. So I will drop in a dimension. I'll say, you know what, this line to that origin point is going to be 125 millimeters. And then this line over here to the edge is going to be 125 as well. That's lovely. Now I need to tell the rest of the geometry where it is and how big it is. To do that, I can again use a dimension. Dimensions are up on top of the toolbar here if you ever want them. So I'll click there and I'll say this line is going to be this far apart, and I'm going to make that 400. You'll notice that it moved it over here. And then I'm going to dimension this line to this line, so I can say how tall the clock would be. And I actually do want that to be 200. So at that point, I've made a constraint sketch, and I've got a sketch profile over top of my mechanism, and that's roughly where I want it to be, so I will finish my sketch. And as I go back to the work plane here, you'll see that I've got this rectangle floating on top of the mechanism, and I bet you know what I'm going to do next. Yep, I'm going to extrude. So I'm going to hit E on the keyboard to extrude, and I'm going to select this profile. I'm also going to select this profile here because I don't want to leave a gap where the mechanism would go, but I'm not actually going to extrude this little part in here because then there wouldn't be a hole to poke the shaft of the clock mechanism through. So I'll leave that there. And as usual, I'm going to select new component, and I'm going to later name that to become the new clock face. So I've got that. Now I need to tell the Fusion how deep to extrude it. I could pull it up, and I don't want it to be that big. What I do want it to do is I want it to be thickness, because we always cut our material or our parts out of the thickness of the material that we've got. Now hang on a cotton pickin' minute. Have I not got a thickness parameter? Oh my goodness, I better go and make one. Oh, there it is. Thickness. And I hit enter. I've got my new component selected, and I'll say OK, and I've got my rectangular clock. Well, it's not much. It's a beginning, but now I can start to add to that, and I could click. I could add sketch geometry on here to cut or to extrude patterns or shapes, all sorts of stuff, and I'll show you some of the things we can do to decorate this in an upcoming video. Here, though, as per best practice, I will name this part, and I'm going to call this clock face rectangular. And there it is. And of course, I can always turn that on and off as I want. So there's my clock face rectangular, there's my regular clock face. It's all good. All right, well, there you go. That's how to add a rectangular clock face, thinking outside the circle. That's what we've got for this video.